You feel free to reply, people, but I'm going to get started. So we are on Monthly Gamedev 7. We are looking at collision and traces. So far, what we've done is we've just been messing around in this environment where we've been running traces in a blueprint. So if we go to our level blueprint, was it in our level blueprint? Okay, it was not in our level blueprint. I made a blueprint of something though, didn't I? Where are you? A trigger actor. There's one thing I made. Did I make another? Or did I just modify the specific one? Oh gosh, I've forgotten. I basically had it. So when we went here, did I change the character? I might have changed the character. Go into here. Yes. No. Not definitely. Yes, I did. Okay, this was it. We were doing traces from the character. I thought it was from the character, but then I didn't look in the character blueprint. So we were in the character blueprint and we tried the different varieties of line traces we have. We were working out how they work, just because the descriptions have a little bit of ambiguity to them, and it's always nice to try and set them up yourself. But effectively what they were doing is from the camera, they were getting the location and the rotation, and then they were just creating a trace from the point of the camera forward by X amounts of units. So I think we had a trace length value that we were setting at 1500. So do a point 1500 units in the way that you're facing, and we'd try these different ones, a multi-line trace or a line trace by channel and line trace by objects as well. You could do a multi-line by objects as well. But we wrote out some definitions for them as well. So if I go down to my section on collision, we ended up doing a bit of a summary over each one here. So we'll read through these. So the single line trace by object, it will return the first actor that has the specified object type that the trace encounters between its start and end point, regardless of collision settings. So what we mean by that, if we go into some of these objects, well, first off, let's look at our first one was object, right? So if we go to object, you can see that we have to choose object types. My object, I've got an object called Dan, but there's different, this is just one I made by example, for example here. So on every item that has collision, I think, or physics, yeah, I'm not 100% of the specifics there. But on every, let's just say every actor that could be collided with, that has this the collision settings, you can choose what type of body it is. So you can see this one is an object type of Dan, and this one is an object type of physics body. So that means that it would go through this one, but it would hit this one. And then what I was saying, it ignores the ignore overlap or block settings. It doesn't matter if in here you've said I'm going to ignore Dan. When you're doing these by object, it doesn't give a monkeys about these. So yeah, that was the by object. We have a look then at our single line by channel. So it returns the first actor with collision that is set to block the channel. So this again does not matter about the object type, but what matters is whether this has been set to block on the particular object. So can't remember how I set these up. If I set, yeah, you can see here I have one set to ignore, this one is set to block, and this one is set to ignore. So if we did it on here, it would run through this one and then it'd hit this one, and this blocks it, so it would stop even though the end point of the trace is over here. Okay, the next thing we then looked at was multi-line trace by object. Returns all actors of the object type that are along the line between the start and end point. This is we don't set block or overlap here. So this is more straightforward. Each one of these are all of object type Dan. You can see this, right? So it would just return all of them when you do a line through it. It doesn't give a monkeys about these. So that's a good way if you want to say, I want to collect everything between these 2 points. And then the last one we looked at was the multi-line by channel, which will return all actors it overlapped with up until and including the first thing it blocks. Otherwise, until the end trace. So this is a little bit different to the channel. So you can see that when you do a single line trace by channel, it'll basically only return the first thing that has a blocking response to it. Whereas the multi-line, what that does is it'll go through and it'll go until it hits a blocking one, but it'll also return everything that it overlapped with on the way. So they're not all that different, but there's small subtleties that we wanted to investigate last stream, which is what we kind of went through. So we planned this week to go through some of the other shapes that you can do. You can do different types of traces and to do a Cpp example. So we're going to have a look at doing that today. And to do that, I think we're going to be using this collision project character, which is what we've got at the moment. When I start a game, if I click, it's going to be loud, sorry. Whoa, whoa, let's turn it. I did warn you. I didn't give you time to remove your ear, protect your ear holes, did I? But still, tried. My mixer, Unreal, get down, you noisy so-and-so. What? Get out! It's like we can use the oil to massage afterwards. Some beautiful OS frogs in chat. Hello. Imagine all the people watching Dan's stream in peace. Ooh, you might say I'm a dreamer. Are you singing? Imagine to narrate what's happening with the stream. Thank you. No, it's a lovely song. Imagine. Still labeling bodies in 2020. Shaking my head. Where's the body positivity? I mean, I wasn't. They were negative labels, Spacey. Anyway, so what we want to do is instead of shooting, we're going to edit it so that it does a line trace. That's the first thing. You can see we got line traces going on already. If I F8 out of this, you can see some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. See, it's doing a trace and it'll stop at the first time it hits something of that type, even though it's set to overlap. Yeah. Same thing here. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. So first thing we're going to need to probably do is go in here and just say, just don't do that anymore. So now when we start, we don't have the lines at least, right? And then we'll go through and start editing the logic in here then. So at the moment, they automatically make for you in Unreal, when you make a new project, they'll make a character with the name of your project at the start of it. So this is because I chose a first person project template. So when it does that, it'll give you a first person modification of the character. So you see that this class will extend from a character. And it just has a couple of extra things in there, really. So it has stuff about like a muzzle location for the gun. It has stuff for VR controls, which we're not going to touch at all. And then it has stuff about the turn rates that you'd use while controlling it. We have a fire animation as well hooked up and a fire sound. And then we have some functions, but not too many. So it's not too overwhelming in here. You can see there's a little bit more of setting up of controls in here. So we've got a jump set up, we've got a fire set up, and we've got our moving around and our turning as well. Okay, so what we really want to do is we're going to hook into this fire event. So when we click, we do something. So that should have taken me to that function, but there we go. And at the moment, it will go through and it will fire a projectile. We kind of don't want it to do this anymore. We can still do the sound if we want to break people's ears, but we don't want it to spawn a projectile for us. So we're going to kind of get rid of that. We don't actually need the projectile to exist for this either. So I may use some of the logic that they have in there. We're just going to cancel that out for now. And we're not going to even do the animation either. We don't want that. Do we play a sound just to know that we'll play a sound to know that I've clicked. Get a bit of feedback to know that I've clicked, and you guys can know that I've clicked. Okay, so what we want to do then is we want to create a trace. And I haven't done one of these in code from scratch. I think I've modified. It's not very often I've actually written one. And let's start a basic one. Let's think which of the ones that we want out of this. We should go for a single line channel. First actor with the collision set to block. Let's go ahead and do that, right? So just think we're making a laser beam rather than a projectile now, because that's what we could use this for. Is when I collide with something, then we can tell that other thing to do something. But we'll do that later in the stream if we have time. Like an end goal I'd like today would be if we could have it so we have a projectile or a laser or whatever that would go through, like we have a window, and it would keep going through that until it hits like a wall, and when it hits the window it would travel through it still, and we could make it do a custom response. I'll just make it right on the screen, smash, right? And then when it hits the wall behind, that'll have a custom response to it as well, and that'll say like kablamo or whatever. And that shows how we can use this tracing and going through different things until you hit a block, and how we can do things to the items that we overlap with. That's really my objective for today. So we need to do a line trace. So I said I'd like to do the single line trace by channel. Hey Hotzi, how you doing? Single line trace by channel. We need to get the location. So we actually do a bit of this, right? We get spawn rotation here of where the projectile is going to come from. So we might use that. It might be a little bit inaccurate, but we can use that same sort of logic for now. Why the world would be. We can do that safety check too, I guess. No. Okay, so the first thing we do is we get these rotations. What have we got here? If it's got a muzzle, then we get the component location. Otherwise, we just get the actor location. Plus the gun. Yeah, so subtract the offset of the gun versus the player, I think. Okay, so I guess we can do that logic. Today is not really about caring too much about how the character is set up, so we will borrow this as well. Oop. And then, so we've got ourselves a spawn location then, but then we don't need to spawn. So spawn params here. Yeah, we're not spawning something. Excellent. Okay, that's good. So we've got a spawn location and a spawn rotation. I think we will probably just for now make a, we can expose out a public variable on this class. So we will go ahead and add in view property in here, which is just going to be edit anyway. Print readable like so, and then it's going to just be need to be a float or an int. An int would be fine, but I think a float is probably what the function will end up using. So we'll use it as a float, and this will be trace distance. Although I might have made one of those in the blueprint already. So let's just say we'll call it a laser. See, now I get upset because I like to avoid using Zs. I feel like that is American spelling rather than British spelling. You sultry Welsh hunk of a man. Wow. That's a greeting for the day. You earned the top spot of flattery. Congratulations. Laser. Oh yeah, isn't it? Is it no? No, it's not. But that is how the Americans would say it, right? It was corpse. It was pretty hardcore. I'm a little hot under the collar now. Right, okay. We are going to default this. Do we have our initialization list? They don't use initialization list, but we can just set it in here, I guess, right? Just whack this in, and we want it to go for like 2000 at the moment. That's fine. Okay, so we want to then set up a line trace in the facing direction, which is in this bit, right? So what is the logic for this? I think we... I think you basically have the results. If we go here, if we look at our blueprint, right, and if you look, it returns this, which is a hit result structure. I think you do it like this. You go f hit result. Hit result is equal to single line. No, line trace. What's the name of the functions? I don't know. Line trace by channel is what we're gonna do. Hello, Code Menace. Nice to see you. Things are okay. Thank you very much. I'm coming up to the end of my working year, which is nice. I enjoy work. I also am looking forward to having some time off. So I got around 7 working days left. Well, actually, I got 12 working days left this year, and then I've got like around 3.5 weeks of holiday as well, or a bit more. So that's really nice. And I'll be doing a bit of work on some projects during that. I'll be having some time to just play some games and relax, and I will some nice things planned for right at the end of the year as well. And I also have gonna do the charity stream as well, like I did last year, in that second week of December, and I'm doing an honest game jam as well during that week. Also I'll be doing the jam during the week where I'm raising money, while I'll still have goals like we did in the last year's charity stream, where if people donate a certain amount or any donation, they get a bauble on the Christmas tree, and then we also have different amounts can make me do things. And if we get to different goals, I think last time if we got to 500, we could start doing Twitch sings requests. I now have a neighbor, so I do worry about 4 a.m. Limp Bizkit sessions, but we'll have to do some slight rules on it, or I'll need to just give him a heads up and say sorry. Yeah, things are good, thank you. How about you? Okay, so we did, yeah, we need to basically find the syntax for this. I mean, you can go and have a look. You can double click it. It does sometimes read the CPP code for it. Doesn't seem to have done it this time for me. Blast. Line trace. Sweeping line trace single by channel. Is it that? It looks like it is, isn't it? We need to give it a channel as well. Okay, I don't know what the channel is in this sense. E-collision channel. Okay, yeah, this is where we're going to have to learn about how you refer to them. I remember someone mentioned this. So it is, do you have to call it on the world? Maybe that's where I've been going wrong. That's why I can't just do it. That's why we need the world. Line trace. Aha. Single by channel. There we go. This is what we're looking for. Now, the parameters we have is the a reference to the f hit result structure that we've just made. So that'd be our hit. I don't know if we would. Would you do it that way? I don't think you would. I think we would probably, typically, if you're giving it out, you do it on 2 different lines like that. So there's our out param. We then need to give our start location, which was our spawn location. We then need to give our const f vector the end. Oh man, so you got to work out the end position of it, have you? Yeah, okay, so this is going to be similar to what we did, the logic in our blueprint, I guess, right? I thought it'd be a case of just like getting the direction and saying how long to go for, but we've got to work out the end of it as well. X-Wing XX, nice to see you. Halsey completing the pig horse. Although Wing likes saying just but. Wing is a mature individual. Okay, so the logic we did over here instead then was we got the rotation and then we got the forward direction of that. And then we times it by the trace length and that would give us the end. So I think we could do an f vector end location is going to be equal to our spawn rotation. Get for can we do how does this get forward? Get forward vector of the rotation. There's a blueprint for it. And what is this coming out, right? This is just a vector, a rotator, sorry. Rotator, yeah. Why are we not getting any options on this? Does it not have any functions inside? Why is my Alt G not working? It bothers me. My software I feel that I paid £100 for doesn't work anymore. Do they have a get forward or do they not? No, I think, okay, so get forward vector is probably part of a Math Kismet library thingamajiggy. Okay, some of these have it. Get forward vector. Hello there, Brain. How you doing, mate? Yeah, how do we get the... inrot.vector? Is it just that? I'm not massively experienced with you can get rotation.get forward vector there. What is this rotation here? It's just a that's a quaternion. Maybe they have a forward vector you can that? View rotation. What is a view rotation here? You're a quaternion as well. Yeah, they're all bloody quaternions here. So I'm basically trying to figure out, is there a, well there should be, but I just don't know. I don't know what the forward vector of a rotator is, basically. If we go to like, okay, so we have this. Yes, this is what we want to use, I guess. Can we use these just in code? The rotator dot vector, that's all we got to do. It was that. Okay, so if we go back to our character, we were working down. Oh, I'm in the page, sorry. Down here, we would basically just get our spawn rotation dot vector. Apparently, I don't know if that's. It doesn't seem to autocomplete for me, but I don't trust my editor these days, which is a shame. Okay, so we would then pass in that end. Oh, we'd need to then times that by our laser trace distance. Okay. So we would then end location that. And then the next thing, we have a trace channel, so we'd need to define this eCollision trace channel as well. Collision trace, oh, I think it's just eCollision channel. Channel to trace is equal to, and this is where you need to do some weird stuff. For a custom collision channel in CPP, let's look up the logic. Okay, so they show up as ECC game trace channel 1, 2. Look in the engine test file, you can see the bit here which tells you probably the best way to deal with it. Oh, if I do go to implementation instead, like this, where my Alt-G wouldn't work, yeah. Let's just do, we'll go to definition, that thing. Or do you, oh, Visual Assist, you mean, sorry. So that would be, yeah, sorry, dude. Where is my VA? Huh. Isn't there normally a Visual Assist? This. I thought it had its own category, my bad. So extensions, Alt-G. No. It could be the way I've set up my project or something. I need to have a look at it, but it's okay. But I can probably do, go to definition. I mean, this, yeah, that was quick enough. I just need to stop moaning about it. Okay, so it says that you can go to enginetypes.h. So let's go and have a look at that. Oh, hang on. Is there one called? Oh, geometry. Okay, this is fine. So, reserve for gizmo collision. Okay, it's difficult to know which one mine is. These are collision channels, and then we have trace channels as well. Oh yeah, don't we need to specify on the trace what? It'd be a trace channel, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be a collision channel. Game trace channel 1, 2, 3, all of these. It would be so bad. So I'm gonna guess it's that. Have a little look, see if it works. Right. Is it actually a collision channel? I don't think that is the syntax, is it? This would need to be an. Yeah, like that. That one. Okay, so that's the channel we want to trace on. That was our next parameter we need in here. And then we have query params. That seems to have a default in there already. Default query params, default response params. Yeah, we'll leave those as they are then. Just leave it there. Okay, so that should give us a trace, and then we then want to have a look at those. Oh, actually, do we want to visualize it? Maybe that's part of these custom F collision query param. Query params. That. What is one of those? No, that doesn't seem. Ooh, debug query. No, it doesn't seem to be set in here, does it? Okay, fine. And then the other one was our F collision response params. Let's have a look what this one is made out of. It just has a struct with one of these in here, which has We recommend using those. Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, this isn't quite giving what we want, so we'll just go back to where we were, and we will get rid of these extra things. I was just curious whether or not there's something about debugging in there, but okay, so that should give us a hit result. So we would want to say then iterate over this, right? So our hit result has what in it? Let's Alt G or F12. F hit result. Blocking hit. Since you have the start and the end, we should have an array of does this just give us where we hit rather than everything along the line? It's because I guess it would do, because we're only with a single line trace. We're only going to hit one thing, right? Okay, let's go on that logic for now. So we'll do if hit result dot be blocking hit, I think. Then we want to go ahead and we'll debug, we'll log out to the screen that we've blocking hitted it, right? And then otherwise we won't. And now I've forgotten how we debug out to the bloody CPP, isn't it? G engine. Can't remember. Yeah, add this. On-screen debug message. I don't know if we need it to be for 15 seconds. We would just put it on for maybe 5 seconds. And we would say hit, and we'll do this green. And then we will do this, which will be red, which will say miss. All right, let's try that, shall we? And see if we actually hit something with that. So we're going to do a hot reload. Trust in the hot reload. In hot reloads we trust. And we want to now go ahead. We'll still do a shooty noise. That was a hit. That was a hit. Hang on, but there's many things here. I forgot the layout. That thinks it's hit. Okay, they are all hitting. What about this one? Okay. Okay, it's hitting everything. But am we only meant to hit this channel? No, we're tracing by this channel, so it depends. Is everything set to block Dan? Yeah, we need to check that. So let's go into these and let's look at their collision settings, for example. And they are default. The default ones. Their default ones would be to block Dan. Crikey. Okay, can we change the default once we've already set it up? So I think it was in our project settings, collision. Dan, default response, yeah. So let's edit this. Our default response will be overlap. Should hopefully change other things. Game. Okay, that's good to me. Save. And then we want to look at where did all those blocks go? The ones that were just there. My blocks disappeared. That's interesting. Because they had a different... I don't know. That's so bizarre. Okay. Why, when I'm selecting 3, is it only moving one of them? Holy smokes. Oh, it's because we're playing in bloody editor. Flippin' flip. Okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so these are set to overlap and ignore Dan objects. We are doing it by channel, right? So it's going to look for the first one that blocks this. These are set to overlap. So none of them are set to... Okay, let's set this one to actually block then. And then these are all set to overlap. Maybe we'll set the... Yeah, we'll leave it as that for now. Let's have a look. Now that wasn't what I wanted. Are they colliding with the floor? Did I do something? Understand what's going on right now. These up. Oh, there's... I duplicated them, didn't I? Flip. It was fun anyway, wasn't it? That's what counts. Why did these not move down? Oh, what is going on? Like pressing end on them wasn't working. Fun. When you see what happens at the start. Okay, it's because they don't... That makes sense. Because they no longer collide, right? We need the floor to change so that it collides with Dan. The floor... Well, these are Dan object types. I didn't set up what the Dan default means. Do you set that up in here as well? If you go into Dan, you don't set up all of the rules for it, do you? Okay, so by default it will ignore other things. I'm guessing it's just we need to set the floor and its collision. Also block Dan's. There you go. Oh, what we should have here is a hit, and what we should... Oh, we got a hit in both of them. Everything is still hitting. Interesting. Okay, let's debug it, I guess. So, what are we actually... We've done it by... There's channel 14. Hit result. What have we got in here then? Let's look down in here instead, shall we? This is the actor that we've hit. Floor. Oh, it could be that my rotation is completely off. Okay, yeah, we can draw a debug line. Because I think where I'm shooting is not correct at the moment. Actually, a good way to test this would be... I shoot up. Turn this off. Yeah, missing. Now missing. Hitting. Well, I guess the floor is set to block, right? I think they're just the rotate. We need to just get a trace of the same thing. I expected Dan to be a Game Trace Channel 1, but instead it was Game Trace Channel 2. I still don't know why. The way that this is working at the moment makes me feel that it could be a rotation / direction, because I used this thing that I wasn't sure about, this spawn rotation dot vector, to try and get the forward direction. And I'm not confident in that. Oh, hang on, there's this. Rotate vector. Oh, no, hang on. Rotate vector do. Oh, you rotate it by a set amount. Debug draw line. Is it G-engine as well? Ah, thank you. Yeah, I've done this before, but ages ago. I appreciate you saying, dude, yeah. Oh, include draw debug helpers. H. And then, as you said, in here, we have all these different things. And then use the draw debug line. Okay, so let's try and do that. At this point. We need the world. We need the line start and the line end, which is going to be the spawn location and the end location. And then we want the color. Just make it blue. Assistant license false. I don't know how long it's going to last for. False lifetime. Let's just make it last for 5 seconds. Okay. Hot reload. It's good. This is really why I wanted to play around with it, because like this stuff is stuff I should be doing, but I've not actually needed to do it in game so far. Let's see. You can see. Okay, I'm going to shoot straight at the top of this and then we'll have a look. Okay. I didn't mean to press what I did there. I wanted to go like that so I could pause it and have a look around. So we are going from basically where the gun is, but it's going over there and down. Yeah, indeed. Once you get used to it, it's normal, right? So that is definitely not the way we want to be shooting, right? Why are we doing? Why is it? I don't know. I'm guessing it's just this. We want the spawn rotation. It gives us an F rotator, right? And we want to get the forward vector. So I'm going off of base of the logic we had in here, right? Where we basically hold on, we did get it off the first person camera component. And I don't think I've oh no, we've kind of done it. No, sorry. So that's how we did it before, but I was taking the logic they used to shoot the projectile. So they get a rotator here, but then they if we want to get the forward vector of that, that's what I don't know how to get at the moment. Oh yeah, my code just does this. So there was a thing where you could do an the F math kismet or whatever it's called. And we did a find earlier. It might still be my find, actually. So there is these blueprint functions in here, right? And what this does is just it's the in rotator and returns the vector of it, which is why I thought it would work in the same way. I could, in the meantime, try and use it first and use that as our location. So we're going with the same logic again. Well, location, isn't that just... I dislike the difference between, like, you have these functions, but then they don't exist in the code as well. Do we need the camera's forward vector? I don't know. I'd imagine that we would... that this... the controller rotation would be that. But we can try it. Let's have a get forward vector. It does. Okay, so try that instead. Get from that. No. Hot reload is sus. Do you really think? I don't know if it is. No, I don't, Hotsy. I'm guessing you are at the moment. Is that the new thing that's come out for it recently? It's not completely weird because, I mean, getting the control rotation and getting the vector of it does seem the same as the camera. Because it's probably locked to the camera and facing the same direction, right? Like the gun or whatever. Although the rotation and the controller and the camera. I may need to change the sound. Change it even lower. So sharp noise is a little. Still bore. They always go into the right more. No, I mean, that one. That one kind of goes to the right. That one a little bit to the left. That one majorly to the left. And this one pretty much straight on. Don't know what to make of that. We're trying to get traces to shoot where we're aiming. I mean, could it be that's just the way that the gun is pointing? itself, if it has its forward, I don't know. A lot of fun is what I've wanted from Bungie for a long while. Okay, that's pretty cool. What's changed versus previous Destiny stuff? Hey, Danix, how you doing? Yeah, trying to figure out how to do a trace from one point to another in code. I'm not getting locations that I think. So I'm going to try and do it as exactly like I... It seems like it's spawning from the right position, actually, doesn't it? Kind of, right? It's just that the end location is completely off for some reason. So where are we getting this end location again? We've tried it. Okay, maybe I've done something silly with it. I haven't added it. Yeah, I meant to add it to the world location. And that I did not do. I think that might be the problem. Reload. That's looking better. It's still a little bit upwards, but that's just because it's going from where... let's just do this quickly. It's going from like where the gun start would be to where the cursor would be. The nozzle is actually down a little bit to where the cursor is. So that's okay. It was my bad. I did some silly. I forgot to do some adding. Okay, so now we can have a look about if it actually works. So I got a hit on that. I'm not expecting to get hits on... Okay, if we do that, we should go above, and that misses, right? Down a little down. Okay, there's our hit. Because we're hitting the wall. So at the moment, it's calling hit on everything. It shouldn't, in my opinion. So we are... Maybe I'm not understanding the hit results. Have a look. Maybe it shows you even if it's not the same channel. Okay. Yes. You are correct. This one is the one that hits. Oh, hang on, is there a path I can just hit that one? Yeah. And why is a good question. Apollyon, 9 months
Twitch
brewing.
Baby time, P honest 29 love.
There you go, that was it. You've given birth to a beautiful subscription baby. You can look after it. I'm going to keep doing some work, right, mate? Diolch yn fawr I chi Mechanically Dev am defnyddio'r gorchymyn Gymraeg. Fi wna i siarad Gymraeg am funud. Mae rhaid fi nawr edrych am eiliad i ceisio datrys pam mae yn defnyddio Trace Channel 2 yn lle Trace Channel 1. So, awn ni ychwanegu hyn mewn a wneud hyn. A weld os mae rhywbeth yn dod lan mewn yma. Mae rhywun di dod o draws rhywbeth yn y ffyrdd yma o blaen. Mae'n siŵr pam mae rhain ar wahân. Ond awn ni cael look bach mewn yma i weld os mae'n unrhyw beth ni'n cael ei ddeud. Dyma'r un yma. Trace channeling. Hang on, falle Brain. Ydy o'n oherwydd mae gyda ni hyn. O na, trace channel, yna. Ie, na, ti'n iawn. Ie, sa'n siŵr pam mae'n neud hynny. Na i ysgrifennu post bach ar bod gwaith fi gyda ateb i fi. Okay, I've made a post on my work knows, and I'll get back to you if anyone knows. There we go. Well, we got that bit working at least, right? And if you think about what was happening, let's look at the object settings. For each one of these, this is the one that was set. Let's make this a little bit smaller. What the response to the collision objects? I mean, it's not. I genuinely don't think it's to do with these. These are. It's working, but it's only working if we put in the trace channel +1. So you can see this one is set to block it, whereas the others are set to ignore, and these are all set to overlap it, and so they don't count for this type of one either. Yeah, so it's yeah, fair enough, Brain. Thank you for pushing and reminding me that you said to do that. Initially, I knew it was that the line was balk. I had a feeling that what I did was wrong, but I'm glad we figured that bit out at least. So let's have a look in our default game ini. Oh, we can find it in here. Right. Maybe it's not default game ini. Is there a couple of default game minis? No, there isn't. Maybe it's not in default game. Maybe it's in default engine ini. Yeah, game trace channel is projectile. Okay, I think that is why, dude. It seems the collision channels take up the same trace channels. Let me just show my setup. It's a bit silly. In here. Very intuitive and amazing namings there. Indeed. I've just set up a 3D camera in GameMaker Studio 2. About matrices. Oh, you did? Hang on, you explained what Destiny was as well. Let me have a look. New subclass, darkness based, more RPG-like with how it's set up. It's a lot faster. It feels good. Been playing since 2015 and picked Warlock because I wanted to Space Wizard. Finally feel like a proper one. Well done, Harry. You are a space wizard. So let's look at that file again and compare. We have projectile Dan and then Dan trace. Hang on, no. So these are responses. Does this come up again in here? No. So responses can either be an object or a trace channel, right? Because you can do a trace to look for, yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to think about, and also, does that mean that in my code that I made here, then when I was making my character do a trace, I'm using collision game trace channel 2, so I'm looking for Dan. Hang on. So how do you say what kind of trace you want your trace to be? Is that part of those params? Because like, don't you give a trace type, right? That's the point of making these custom trace channels. I thought it was anyway. We give it a. Oh, we don't tell it what trace type it is. Is fun. The trace channels idea is to limit what you can hit, in my understanding. Yeah, okay, I need to just wrap my head around this because I think I'm getting confused by the different things. Because you have the thing that fires and the thing that that you intersect with along the way, right? The first things that we've set up in here are object types. Everything has an object type. That's fine. I think that's what these are. Including objects and trace channels. It does kind of say that you link them together here. Yes, this is the list of object types for your project. You delete an object type that's been used by the game, and any uses of that type will revert to static. Delete a trace channel used by the game. The behavior of the trace is undefined. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Now I've confused myself. So if I did something like this. Sorry, people, I'm trying to figure out. A few things, and then I'll explain why. I think as Brainerd said, there's another method for object trace. Well, no, I know there's one for object tracing. Sorry, I know there's by channel and by object. I get that, but the moment I'm just... I guess maybe I'm thinking of these channels differently. I was seeing these as object types, but effectively these are object and trace channels. These are object channels, not trace channels. So how, when we're doing one by trace, but we're giving the trace channel, which is an object channel. It just feels like that shouldn't bloody work. I don't understand. Oh, for flip's sake, alt tab. What I'm trying to figure out is, like, this channel to trace, is this like what I'm looking to hit, or is this what I'm firing? I imagined it that you define what you're putting out with a, and then you look at how things respond to those based on actually the trace responses, and then we have object response. Oh, hold on. Like, I was seeing it differently, as if I'm looking to hit things that respond to this channel. So these, we've been looking at this Dan one. So if we change it to the third one, then we should get some results. We do this Dan trace. Okay, so you don't actually fire a trace of a type. You just fire out a trace and say, I want to come across things that respond to this specific channel. I mean, that's more simple. It just confused me with we have our object type, which also has an object response. So then I'm like, what is the trace responses for? Yeah, that's the question that's come across my mind there. But okay, so if we change that code to actually look at the trace channel instead, and we recompile that, and we'll look at our settings now for each of these objects. So these are all set to now overlap with these, so we shouldn't actually get a hit on any of them. Miss. Whereas if we go ahead and change one of these to now block Dan trace, we should get, yeah, we get a hit on it. And we'll even get a hit on it if we shoot it from this way. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to write that down because for me it's confusing. We'll get the doc thing that I've been working on here. So the trace channel you provide in a CPP function like this. is essentially saying I am looking to hit things that respond to this channel. So this is important, I guess, because it's trace channels are actually responses. So think of trace channels as responses rather than firing traces of a specific type. That's a hard thing for me to understand too, because Unity doesn't have response types for queries. Yeah, okay. Thank you for sharing. The other thing we want to note as well is whether you add add entries to, what were they called? Make this window smaller. Write this in. Object channels or trace channels. It's strange because, hang on, I'm just writing to it. And it's strange because when you define an object channel, a type. Secondly, it makes me wonder the point of trace channels, object channels. I'm guessing when you define that type, still want to know. Okay, whether you add entries to object channels or trace channels, they will both all go to be added to entries in the default engine. I think default engine ini. As entries in our ECC game trace channel. Game trace channel, is it? N. Where N is and starts at 1 and traces each entry. In the below example, projectile is 1, Dan is 2, Dan trace is 3. You can and hang on, sorry, and here you don't need them to. It just provides you another way of handling response. You can approach the same problem structuring your object types properly and filter by object type. Yeah, that's one thing I just asked. I was saying it makes me wonder the point of trace channels versus object channels. Because the other thing is, like, when you create this, you make an object type as well, right? You can then, once you've added it to that object channel, it then becomes an object type. Being a channel and an object type doesn't seem, I didn't think they were the same thing to me initially, but they are. E-collision channel. Oh yeah, that's what that is, sorry. Yeah, I should know. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a bit weird. I think you know, once I understand it properly, it will make sense. I think it's just the way that I've approached it means that it doesn't seem to make sense the way I'm looking at it. You know. Hey, there's Arm. How you doing? Well, I've been in Unreal for a year and a half now, dude. Actually, almost 2 years. I started in January 2019. I've been working in a studio doing it since April-ish 2019. But yeah, okay. It's all good. It's all good, dude. Yeah, it just doesn't settle well with me. I don't. In my mind, it feels like just confusing. And I'm trying to think about. I don't want to. This is meant to be a document of like info, you know, rather than questions and that. So. But I feel. I mean, what are the existing trace channels? Yeah, well, it depends on what you do and what the other person you do game jams with does. That's one of the reasons I don't like talking about what I work in, because I don't want people to judge. Just have visibility and camera. They're the only ones that. Yeah, I don't really get them. I don't understand why we have trace responses different to object responses. How you doing anyway, Zoms? You alright? Good. Glad to see. I was just trying to think of like a setup that I wanted to do then. I wanted to make like a let's just add in a and the kind of setup I wanted to do then was to cross. This could be a kind of like hourglass. Do they have a translucent material I could use? Here we go. Great. Is it actually? Oh yeah, it's kind of. Okay, glass, and then we'll set up a new cube behind it then, which is what we want to be hitting, right? Sweep single by object type. Display character control, get hit result under cursor for objects. They are different ones. So the sweep. I'll look into them, I guess. I can imagine what the other one does. But is that under cursor? Is that only if you have the mouse on? Oh, the sweep is how you do the shape. Oh yeah, the sweep, and it pushes it along, right? I remember I read something about the sweep versus sweep last week. Okay, so what I wanted these to do is to have, let's set up the collision channel stuff on this. Collision. Make it custom. So I don't understand the point of the Dan trace anymore, if I'm honest with you. Just seems useless to me. Like I can give it an object type. That doesn't change these, does it? The object type for me is just a way you can just say trace by object type instead. But that doesn't, that it only impacts if you're doing a trace by object type. And then if you're doing a trace by channel, then that's where this stuff matters, and the object type doesn't matter. Let's go back to whatever it was. No? I hate how undo doesn't actually flipping work. I don't even know what it was initially. World static. Okay. So the Dan trace will ignore. We basically want it to overlap with a Dan projectile, and then this one we want to ignore but hit one. Okay. Ooh, don't we need that generate overlap events on as well? Or wasn't that? No, that was only for physics based. Oh, remember the difference of what the traces by the physics system, I think it was. Like if you're like the collision events of when things are moved by physics, rather than if the projectile ball it was being moved by something else. I don't know how traces act in that. Well, that's actually nice that they've got a function for that brain rather than the. I know in Unreal in Unity we ended up having to do that quite often, right? Get that trace from the camera point down. Yeah, I'll have a look at those before I wrap up stream today. Thank you, Brainoid. Okay, so I basically want to make it now then. So when I change the... Let's change this to channel 2, which is Dan. And a good thing to do, as it did say in the documentation as well, didn't it, that you can rename it. You can do a define. So you could call it what it actually is. So I think you could do something. I don't know whether you can just do them at the top. I don't really use defines very often. I think, can you do define like that? Is that how defines work? You don't do semicolon, do you? I just don't like the color of it at the moment. It makes me feel it's not done right. But if I did that, could I then do... Yeah, I don't really know how the... I think it just replaces any time instance of this with that, right? Oh, is it the other way around? I find it easier to do in Unity even though it doesn't have a specific function for it, because you get confused and struggle with trace channels again. What do you mean by that? Oh, you're saying that like even though there's a function for it, it can still be confusing because of the way that the trace channels work. All right. Okay. Oh, collision weapon. Yeah. So yeah, you do that. You're right. The name of it first, brain. Customize these in. That's not even right. I don't. Do we have to do that as well? Let's just try and do this up here. Gonna go and marinate wings. Okay, nice one, Brain. Thanks for talking today. Have a nice day. So we should hopefully be able to use Collision Dan instead of that now. Oh, but I think we actually wanted to do it. Let's just see if that compiles first, shall we? That one blocks, this one doesn't. Let's see whether or not we go through this. This is if I do that. Ooh. That is missing too. Set to block. Let's see whether or not it was this thing. Oh, is it? I don't know if that's how it works. I get stressed coding because I just feel like there's so many things I don't know, and then I just avoid doing them because I don't know how it works. Because otherwise, it takes you 2 hours to look up every little step along the way. Then you never learn it. So it's like putting off what you want to achieve in order to learn more, but then that doesn't feel satisfying because you don't make much progress. And then if you don't use it often. Time is hitting. So yeah, how I did my define did not work there. I'll have to have a look at that another time. Okay, so at the moment, we're just gonna hit, right? But if we wanted things to do things along the way as well, then like if we wanted this glass to respond and do something, then we'd need to go ahead and have a slightly different bit of logic. I think we'd end up having to do a multi-line trace instead. But for now, let's try and trying to think of how we can do this. Like I'm thinking of having an interface you could put on these things to say like it's shootable or like a laser reaction or something like that. Then if it implements it, it'll then define what it should be doing, right? However, we could, I'm trying to think, I can't even remember off the top of my head how you add an interface to something in Blueprint. Like I could add a component to this a lot easier if I just did it as a component. I don't know if it counts as a, does it count in their interfaces? I don't think it does. I think you have to go into the Blueprint and set things up, don't you, to add interfaces? I'm trying to remember where it is. In class settings? Interfaces, yeah. So for us, we might just add a little component for it, I guess. Maybe. but we need to know about it in CPP, so we're going to have to make a component now. Let's go ahead and make it via this. A new component. Yeah, I think that is fine. I had a nature pactor project and then I cannot find bugger all out. Yeah. Oh, you can't find bugger all in said pack. What do you mean? As in, you don't even know how to add in the, or you're not able to find how to add the stuff from the one of the free packs things, is it? Oh dear. I don't know then, dude. I don't actually. I've not really used many packs in that before. Laser impact component, we're going to call it. Create those. It'll tell me I need to relaunch and all that jazz now. Also, sorry, you said you were working out of college making stuff for Who Is Coming to Dinner brief. I don't know who Stanley Lieberman is, I'm afraid, at some point. Tell me if you want. Let me just close this properly. Or like stopping debugging brashly like that. Yeah, whereas I do the opposite in work, you see, Fyro, is I'm purely almost exclusively working in code bases, so I don't really have to play around with these trace things. And also keep in mind, I'm in a project where most of the game's been done, we're just adding more stuff to it, or tweaking how it works or existingly, or so there's some things that come in which obviously need tracing and all that jazz, but like I typically haven't worked zero, very little experience in them. So we have a laser impact component. I don't care about much in here, but we just want to make a public function in here, which is just going to be called on laser impact. And then we will implement this, and then we will write a message. Yeah, I guess we can expose out a variable. Hey Mika, thank you for the follow, welcome. So we want to make this a view property. Edit anywhere. We'll do now. Can we make it an F string? And it'll be our on impact string. If we do that, and then we can probably just debug that to the screen then, right? Autocomplete for me. It's just like coding can be enough of a headache as it is without just like the trivial crap tasks not being done automatically by software that's meant to do those things for you. It stresses me. So I typed in this and it didn't want to give me any autocomplete suggestion. Okay, and now I need to remember the really awkwardness of you can't just... I can't just give it a string. It doesn't work like that, if I remember correctly. So I've just made this string called onImpact string, right? But I'm pretty sure you can't just go like this. I need to dereference it. I don't even remember. It needs it as a character or something. I've written some stuff up about it before. Oh, it did succeed. What? What? Any kills then? Are you working on an existing game? I don't remember a first person game with guns done recently. I mean, in work, dude. Because yeah, in my day job. Yeah, I haven't done any first-person shooting games, hence why all this stuff is new to me. Okay, so what we need to do is add components to these. So let's add in our laser component that we just made, laser impact, and glass smash is what we want to say in that one. And then on this, we're going to add a component, and this is going to say wall boom. Fantastic. Yeah, no, I feel very fortunate. I get to, the way I always look at it is, as much as work can be draining and difficult sometimes, like I spend my work time trying to getting better at what I want to do generally in my spare time too, and vice versa. And the more time I put in my hobbies, it helps me in work too. The difference is it's not really always transferable. A lot of my thinking time in work is learning and working with the existing code base that has been set up in this giant project. And a lot of performance stuff comes into it as well. Whereas that's not often what I'm doing in these environments. Oh, that's just the text thing. I should get rid of that. I don't like it. Okay. So we don't do any logic to tell it to do anything about this, right? So that's where we need to change our code now, right? We want to say, well, first off, we can get the actor that it hits, right? Let's start through doing that. So if the hit result and is hit, we also want to go hit result dot. There's a get actor. The actor that owns the component that was hit. Okay, go for that. So let's just go a actor, hit actor is equal to that. And then we want to try and cast that to see, or if, no, it's not even casting, if hit actor get components by class, and we want to look for a U laser impact component on it. And that should return, this is a templated thing, right? T subclass of this. So we would make a new laser impact component impact equals this, and if it is, then we want to go ahead and say impact comp dot on laser impact. That's what I made. Oops, that's the one. So let's see if that works to begin with. Ah, okay, didn't like that. Oh, I haven't included that class. I didn't include that. Hey, I'm very happy to be working in industry. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's definitely jobs which require coding that would pay you a lot better. And there's definitely jobs that require coding that would have less, where the kind of production workflow is less dynamic and a bit less crazy. But still, I think you're very much able to. I try very much to draw a line when I finish work to stop thinking about it. But there's certain times of the year when that's harder to do. Did this actually compile the second time? Still doesn't like something in here. Not convert a actor pointer. Oh, did I not make a bloody pointer? Oops. Oh, still doesn't like this. Do I do a dot instead of a... It's because I didn't make it a pointer first. It didn't correct my dot to a dereference thing instead. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and I think it's fair. It's fair to envy a position. I would be the same. Illegal use of this type. Have I done... Is this wrong? Let's find component a class on it. Oh, you it's not templated in that sense. Sorry, you just pass in the... Do you pass in static class then? It's not like a cast. That's my mistake. I probably have to do this, do I? Like that? Cannot convert U actor component to a U laser. Okay, so this just returns a U. Hold on. Was fine. Then do we have to cast it? This feels like I'm doing something wrong here. So if one of these just call it conflict, the initial plan. Now we cast our impact like that. This definitely feels like the wrong way to do it. Have you worked for a software or app type company? No, never. So it was my first developer role. I did a degree and a master's in computer science and AI based stuff, and then went on to do unrelated work pretty much. And trained some people in some software company where I wasn't doing any software development. I was just training end users how to use some application that the company made, because I'm quite good at talking with people or presenting, or maybe confident, I'd say, rather than good. But and then that went down to some other different education-based jobs, and then I wanted to try and make my own game, learn game dev finally, and then I tried pursuing into this avenue. That worked this time. Let's see if this works. No, I don't know if that worked. Still just says hit. Some of this code is different. We've done a compile. Okay. And when we hit this, our hit actor is our cube. And does it have one of those? It does have this component, right? Then does it? Okay, it does go into on laser impact. And it should add the on impact stream of wall boom. Oh, it did. It did happen. It's just the first time I pressed compile, it didn't work. Great, Unreal. Thank you. In this software, sometimes I swear. The hot reload issues. That is wall boom. Okay. So the reason we want to do this is to show that one, it'll go through, and two, we're getting impact here when it hits it, right? Now I guess we can probably get rid of the hit and the miss, right? So the next step for this would be to do a different type of trace. So if we look back at our document about how we did things initially, about different ones of these, I've done a single line trace by channel. If I want to do a multi-line trace by channel this time, So let's go ahead and just try. Let me just comment that out for now. So we want to go world, multi-line. Line trace multi, okay, by channel. And then we have a look what we have. Right, so this time we have an array of hits, which is a bit different. What is the goal here? The goal here is just to learn about how traces work and the collision channels and all of that jazz. So yeah, I just want it to be, when it goes through the glass, it'll say smash. And when it hits the wall, it'll say like wall bang, for example. So it was just showing that the first example we did, the single line trace, you can't get it to respond to anything that it goes through on the way to its destination. Whereas we're going to use a multi now, which will allow us to, because you can respond to the things that overlap with it along the way before the first impact. And that's the kind of goal that we're going for here. Okay, so multi-trace, line trace multi-channel. So we're going to pass in a T array of these. So we need to make a T array of F hit results. Hit results. We're going to pass that in as our first parameter. This is an out ref thing. Then we have our start and our end, which will be the same as the last one. So that would be our spawn location, end location. Then we have our trace channel, which is going to be just channel to trace. I think that is all we need to do. The rest of them are, yeah, the params again. So exact same, but we just do pass an array in instead. And this time, instead of just saying if, we'll have to go through each one, right? So we'll go for each F hit result, temp hit result. In hit results, then we want to go ahead and do what we were doing before. Oops. Like that. Why didn't that tab it in for me? Editor, something has completely gone jank with it and it's making me sad. We're actually going to keep the miss in. We just don't need the hit in anymore. So, would that be enough for us? Stop, not reload. But you did get it to respond with the wall boom. Yes, that's because, so with a single line, it'll only hit the thing that blocks it. But with a multi, it will also, I think it registers a hit, but it won't be a blocking hit. I don't think I accomplished it with the first result because I couldn't tell the glass to break. Unless I put something on the glass. No, because there's a trace. I think, I couldn't tell the glass to do anything. You know what I mean? If my objective was to just hit the wall, yeah. But if I wanted the glass to shatter or something like that, based on this trace, then the multi-line trace gives me the ability to I have this in my hit results. That's what I'm interested in. You put wall boom on glass or just on by the wall? So I put a component on them. This one will say wall boom. This one will say glass smash. If they, when it hits it, basically our logic was just saying with the thing that you've hit, if it's a blocking hit. Hold on. No, because it wasn't saying miss either. You only have one thing that you hit. That's the point of this. So it'll keep going until it's a blocking hit. You can't do anything with the overlaps. But that's what I'm trying to achieve here with the multi one, is that we can process the multi ones too. I'm trying to understand like the difference between them and why you would use one over the other. So let's see what we get now. Sorry. We're getting miss and miss. That's interesting. Let's see. Are we not getting any results then? Oh, am I doing it? No, I am doing it by channel. There's two things in here. Okay. The first one is not a blocking hit. Do we have an actor? Null pointer. Why is it? Okay, miss. The second one. Everything is null pointer. That, to me, doesn't make a great amount of sense. Oh, hold on. Hold on. It does. We have a... I'm using hit result, not temp hit result. That is the problem here. When do we use hit result anywhere else? We use it in just in here, really, don't we? So for this, we're gonna cut this out, put it above this. We'll comment it out, and then I can just call these hit result. Okay, phew. I was worried for a moment there. That makes sense. I was using the local variable, and I didn't change the name. I actually wanted to iterate over. Hey, Tangent Turner, those Avengers ads are the lamest I've ever seen. I'm not even sure which. I don't watch too much Twitch myself, so I'm to miss out on one of the adverts. Okay, so this time, when we go in, the first one, please give us details. Yeah. So this is our glass one. I'm giving them names, unfortunately. So that's just going to say miss. Okay, so I'd need to change the logic in here a bit as well. And then this one would be a blocking hit. And so it goes in and it'll say the laser impact thing. It'll say wall bang, boom. Right, okay. So we're going to change our logic just a little bit then. It doesn't need to be a blocking hit. Yeah, we essentially don't need that anymore. We're kind of butchering this a bit, but it's okay. Oh, hang on. This as well. Okay, that should do it. That should give us the kind of effect that we wanted then. There's a chewing gum ad trying to get people to play that Avengers game that flopped. Company's own fault. They tried to make people pay $60 for the game and then $10 DLC to unlock each of the main characters. I saw a news article that something like 95% of the people who bought it and played it when it came out don't play it anymore. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a very money-hungry model, that, isn't it? I remember hearing something about that you had to pay to unlock the characters. We don't need to break. Does it make out as if I'm changing the code all the time? There we go. So we get our glass smash and we get our wall boom as well, which is kind of what we want. So instead of saying that, you could imagine it would actually be happening. So there's a few extra things that we can look at as well. I am looking to wrap up stream shortly, but I was just to go to Wormius, if I didn't say hi to you as well, apologies. How you doing, man? So we have a sweep single by object type as well. What I might do is tidy this up a little bit first before I go into that. So I have two different functions because I've kind of just repurposed this to work with both at the moment. So let's make some space, right? And we'll just say this is the multi-line channel. And then up here, we're going to have our single line by channel. Take this, whack it in here, and then we can get rid of this stuff. Bit. I might actually. Yeah, this we will call this temp hit so we don't have a name confusion. That is fine. Oh, that is fine. And then we'll go back up to this one. We'll uncomment this stuff. And we don't need to for over these anymore. I think we should probably lock this up here. And then we need to take these. Results are done with there. Yeah, that's fine. So we can uncomment these. We can get rid of that and that. All of these actually. There we go. There is definitely some junky stuff going on in here. So this is in the... Why is this... Why my indentation is so balked? What an ID is meant to do, right? Yeah, why does that go here instead of there? I get so agitated at the ID. It's so... Okay, so we have our multi-by channel and we have our single channel as well. And then look at as examples. That is fine. It's kind of what I wanted. We have another block behind wall that ensures that you're not also going beyond the second object to ensure the multi-line trace is being blocked by the wall. I don't, but I know it is from what we did last stream, but it's a good point. We should do that just for verification, right? So I will put another one of these behind. Good point. And then if I was to, well, I've got to sort out what I'm doing with the code first. I just turned this off then. Yeah. No, that's all good. That's all good. From what we did last stream, I'm quite confident that this is working how intended. But so it should only say once. Yeah. Ta-da! Now, what would be different is if we do one of these things instead. So we're going to do another one. We're going to do the final ones that we did last time, which was going to be our we need to do the single by object one. Let's look at the description I did for it before. Returns the first actor that has the object type, and then that's all of them. Yeah, I guess we should, just so I've got examples of them. Single line by object, and then we're going to do a multi-line by object. Okay, so in these examples then, the single line by object is probably going to be very similar to this one. Let's just uncomment that. I guess line trace by object type is going to be the same, but I'm guessing that instead of saying trace, we need to say, okay, we have an end, and then we have a collision object query params. So we need to say the object type in there, I'm guessing. As otherwise there's no way we're specifying it, right? Yeah, and there's no default for that. So we need to make f collision object query params. F collision, is it object query params? Yeah, it was. Query params. And then we need to probably set on this add object types to query, probably that. Hang on, what does this take in as an argument? It's the collision channel. Okay, so then our collision channel to trace. Be that, right? Was it a trace? Hang on. Channel to trace was defined up here as an e-collision channel. Yeah, that is fine. We now do that, and then we pass in the query params to this instead. That looks fine to me. And after that, we get the same thing back by the looks of it. Object type just gives us back a... Ah, what? It gives us a bool. Huh. Wasn't expecting that. Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, I was. Ignore me. We pass in a... My mistake. We pass in the hit result, don't we? But it's nice because you can just say, you can do things like if, because it returns a bool before you even do the logic. So that's cool. You know, we could have done that on the other ones as well. So here, I'm imagining it's going to be a blocking hit. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Oh, I just realized we may not actually want the hit in here anymore. Go ahead and... yeah, leave that like that, I think. We're going to go ahead and we'll do the exact same thing then, I guess. Let's try that one. So this is my object type this time, so the setup is going to be a little bit different. Stop and recompile. Okay, good. And what we want to do is set these to be the same object type. So in our collision, they have an object type, world static, world static. They're both world static at the moment. If I set these both to Dan's instead, what we should have is it will only do the glass. So let's press play. Glass smash. Fantastic. Okay. However, if we then to stop it and we just change this back to world static, then do it, we now get, oh, boom. Okay, so it stops at the first object. Great. And I also might change this to say Warboom 2, just so we know it's a different response if we ever do get it. Okay. So that worked fine. I'm happy with that, and that was quite quick to do. And then the last one is going to be, I guess, more similar to this. It'll be a hybrid of both of them, I guess. Let's take this multi-line by channel, whack this underneath here, whack, go. How did you set up to print to the screen? There is a really easy to use function you can use, which is this G-engine. You always be able to get hold of this from anywhere. You can do if G-engine first, but it's pretty much always valid. And there's a function in there called add on-screen debug message. It basically does the same thing as the print string or the print log or whatever it is in the blueprint. Okay, so the next one we're going to do line trace multi by object type. And then I'm guessing it's going to take in the same parameters as the other one, where we just need to pass in the query param. So we'll go ahead and make some of those now, just like we did up here. I'm going to borrow this. Out for now. And before we do it, we need to define that query params, and then we needed to do query params. Add object, and we're going to do add channel to trace in there, like so. And then we can go ahead and whack that in as our argument. Then we should be able to get, ooh, Should have already done the line. We don't need to draw the line. My debug. Oh, was that debug line? Draw debug line, yeah. Oh, it was from one further up. Yes. The draw debug line is done already there, so we don't need to repeat. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Little things like that are sometimes so. It's yeah. I don't know. I find some of the simple stuff, especially with like string manipulation and stuff in Unreal, is just it's C++ that causes it, I guess, right? But it feels. But also Unreal has a bunch of different kind of formats for strings, and it's not complex, but it's not intuitive, I guess, is the way I would complain about it. There's lots of simple stuff that seems more obscure than it would appear it needs to be, but clearly I think it does need to be. Okay, we are going through each one of these. I think this should work from here. So let's give it a go. So we save. And we will reload this. And we want both of these to be Dan's now. Because how this works, it will get everything in the whole distance of that object type. Yeah, it will get each one of them up until the end of the trace, regardless. There's no blocking on this, effectively. So we're going to set both of these to be Dan. We should even maybe set this back one to be Dan. But, yeah. There you go. Congratulations. We'll now press play. And we should get 3 messages. We should get glass smash, wall boom, or boom, or whatever I called it. Wall bang, and then wall bang 2. Yeah, there we go. Gone through the entire duration of those. And if we go back far enough, we might be able to get it. It just does the 2. Hold on. Oh yeah, I did that. That just does glass smash. That does glass smash and wall boom. And a little bit more forward. Let them disappear first so you can see it properly. There we go. So that's where our kind of limits are. Let's pause and have a look. Why? That's why. Because it stops at that point and it doesn't go any further. Cool. So I think we've kind of explored, the aim of today was to do them in CPP and to explore them. I wanted to create a little example like this where you could shoot through things and have things respond differently, to utilize the difference between them. We learned a little bit about the collision channel stuff as well, which was a little bit obscure to me, but I think I just need to get my head around it rather than just brand it as stupid. I think what we're going to look at next stream will be what Brainoid recommended, actually. So I'm going to drop these into my document for next week. So try other, that was meant to be something we did, so we can look at doing that. We can look at doing this. Yeah. And maybe so that's one thing we want to look at. We also want to, and we've done these CPP trace examples, that's fine. And we did it on click instead of trace. Yeah. So sort out our custom, what's it called? It defines to make using the ECC channel enums more readable or easier. I think that's what I'd like to look at next time as well. We do have 2 more weeks left on this as well, 22nd and 29th of this. I think the final week would probably look at trying to look at more of the physics side of things. I guess, like understanding things that are applied, the gravity is applied to, and how we can change things along those lines. But yeah, this is going good for me personally. I know it just seems like when you look at this example, this doesn't look exciting, but for me, it is exciting because I've actually now done the 4 different types of traces. Even though it's just with lines, we can do the traces with shapes another time, but still, We understand the difference between them. We understand we can set up the values of these and predict what the results will be, and the results go the way that we expect as well. So yeah, the final thing I will do is I wanted to put these code snippets into my document, because I may want to, that's what I kind of want from this document, is to have a reference to them. Okay, so some CPP examples. Oh yeah, that looks hideous right now. I know that. CPP in a document. This does never really go well. I do have like a slightly smaller thing. It's still not great. It's really tabbed in, isn't it? It's cumbersome, isn't it? It's still very D. Okay, so that would be an example of a single one, and then we could do now. Yeah, sorry, this is a little bit boring, people. I'm never going to want to do it, so I'm going to do it while I actually meant to be doing it. Isn't there like this? Blast! Nice, wouldn't it? Eek. Sweet. We'll get these other style as well. I mean, we could get rid of the miss. We want that's really not adding a great amount of detail to it. We just want to, and the same. To be honest, do we need the rest of this? A lot of this is actually just too much, actually. Yeah, this is quite a specific thing, right? We could just get rid of all of this. Just get the idea out. And also we should, I mean, we could look at, yeah, this is very specific as well. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can, it might be worth me getting this line, I think, is quite useful. Eek. We'll just do it like that. La 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 la. Like so. And then we'll do the other ones because they're slightly different. He's done. Understand you're involved. What I've done in the past, some integrations between Unity and Twitch. What about UE4 and Twitch? Do you have any had any experience writing bots and components or interface between them? We are currently in a bit of, yes, I haven't, but I am going to get a bit more hands-on on it soon. So we have a project to start up my stream overlay game that I always used to have on stream, which was a 2D project made in Unity. And I said, right, look, it's got to a point where it was hard to maintain due to the crappy way that I wrote it. And the viewership had gone down quite a lot. So the way the game was designed, like people would get awards at the end of the month, and there was such a smaller viewership compared to what I used to do before I started working full time. It meant that everyone had already won all the awards and that. So I needed to redesign the game a bit anyway. So I said I'd take it down and would make it a group project where people who've offered to help in the past can help. Before I didn't let anyone help with the project. And so we're in the process of doing that. And so Hef, I believe, is doing a bit of work with the connecting to it. But I think we might just be going down the route of connecting via a WebSocket to a JavaScript bot. So I think that might be the approach that we're doing it. But there are some Twitch libraries. I've seen some Blueprint ones as well, Fyro, that will allow you to integrate with Twitch. The only thing I'd warn you is the Twitch API changes quite a bit, and whether or not these people who make these, what's the right term for it? Can't think of the term. The kind of libraries that you buy, whether they will keep that up to date or not is something to be aware of. But I remember when I looked into it before, there was some Blueprint library stuff before. But yeah, if you're welcome. If you're on the Discord, you can ask Hefu a bit about how he's done it if you want, because he's the one who's started that off for our project. So, his name is Hef. Oh. Okay, hopefully that gives an example of that. And then the last one we want to get in, thank you for being patient, those who are still in the chat while I'm doing this, is just the last one. But like this document I will refer to, whereas this project after this month I may, if I back up my computer or whatever, I may not be able to find the code files easy enough. So for me, it's just nice to have a bit of a reference sometimes. Last one is this. So change it to the smaller text. Okay. Good. Now, Cpp Examples should probably be a subheading. Yeah. We have a multi-line by object, single line by object, multi-line by channel, single line by channel. Great. Cool, that's good with me.